Hello, HateLesS Gaming here. I want to bring you guys a video on skill points. This video, I'm not sure what the title is going to be at the time of this moment, but what this video is about is it's going to show you how to maximize the amount of skill points that you get in a given year. And I'm going to show you guys the difference between doing this and the difference between not doing this, and also that going against it kind of sucks. But I don't really have a good example of going against it because I don't really go against this. So, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys what spawned it. So, during a stream, somebody had asked me to show you guys my year in Eve, and a viewer kindly asked me a question after I showed the year of Eve, and I explained it a few times. I feel like a video of it is a really good idea, so we're going to go ahead and watch the little bit of my year in Eve on a couple of characters, and we're going to notice what happens here. So, we ended up with 25 million skill points, 25.5 million skill points over the course of the last 12 months on my character. This is because I do a few things. This is not because of skill injectors at all. This is without skill injectors. The character has been Omega in a constant state the entire year, and he never missed skill training, except for a couple times, like for 12 hours, he didn't have skill training. And then if we look at another character, I'm actually going to mute this audio on all three of these. So I want to show you guys three examples here. This character does not have the trick done, and so I have no difference in his skill points versus the one that I showed you, except for the fact that he uses, I didn't use any skill injectors on this character for the last year. I didn't do anything different except for one thing, and there's only one difference between this character and that character and how much skills he trained, and we're going to explain that. But here's his skill points. He did 22.7. My main here did 25.5. So this is almost a 3 million skill point difference. We can actually put in a calculator. And this is a character that kind of did it, but made mistakes, because we had to cross-train a few things inadvertently. But again, no skill injectors. So we did 22.4. And this is another character that has nothing done and is a confirmation of about how much you should earn if you don't do this at all, because I haven't neural remapped this character at all. It's 22.3. As you can see, he has a 400,000 less. I really don't think that this character got skill injectors last year. I may have done one, apparently, but this character was definitely not. And then what we really want to talk about is how I managed to pull off 25.5 million skill points in a year without using skill injectors as the subject of this video. So let's go to this character. This is my character, Buck Warbitch, as you can see here on the top. I will have a link to this video to provide that it's actually the video and I haven't altered it. But we'll go ahead and go to Buck, and he has a lot of stuff going on for him. This is my main character. My goal on him right now is I've made a long-term goal so that I can train skills in the way that I want to. And I want to get every single subcap ship maxed, and every single I want to be able to fly every single ship that can be used in combat with Mastery 5. And so what I'm doing is I'm working on getting that to the shortest path possible. He has 210 million skill points, so I don't really have anything that I need to train. So I can set up really long queues for him, and I can plan years in advance what he's going to train. His queue, it doesn't fit in the skill queue, and I got 13 days left on this skill. I'm just going to throw another skill in that's in the same queue. But there are attributes associated with every single skill in the game. And it's very important that you note which attributes a skill is. And if you hover over the skills in your skill tree here, you'll see some are perception, willpower. The first one is the primary. The second one is a secondary. You'll see intelligence perception, intelligence memory. It'll tell you what they are, and then furthermore, sometimes they're flipped. So these ones are generally perception, willpower. But if we look at, for example, assault frigate, if we show info on assault frigate, it's actually flipped. If we show the attribute, the primary is willpower and the secondary is perception. That means that when you're training this, and if you're spec'd for perception and willpower, it'll train a little bit slower. But imagine if we weren't spec for perception and willpower at all, and we were spec for something like science, where we want charisma and memory in trade, or intelligence and memory for neural enhancement, or intelligence and memory for engineering. If you're trained in the wrong thing, you train skills really slow. So for example, if I put this in here, we can see that I'm training at, if we hover over it, where's it at? This capital shield emission systems. So it's going to be in shield skills. If we hover over this, we'll see that I'm training at 37.5 skill points per minute. Now, if I go put a skill in that I'm not spec for at all, we'll go ahead and put in, I actually don't have that skill. We'll put in Mimitar Industrial, because I'm not trained for that at all. And we hover over this, it'll say that I'm training 25.5 skill points per minute. So we get an additional, it's not quite 30%, but it's like 15% more skills. We get a little bit more skill points per second for the time that we spend training it. Which means that if we spend our year training things that we're spec'd into, we'll end up with more skill points at the end of the year. Now, here's the part that can kind of screw you. If you make a plan, and then your plan changes, it doesn't work out so well. So with this character, I don't, like, he's set in stone. I know what he's training for the next year. I'm not worried about it. Whereas with characters like HateLesS and CoinLesS here, where I am changing what they're training all the time, based on what my stream demands or what my channel demands. As I change what I'm doing all the time, it doesn't make sense to respec to do this. So I do want to leave this video with that kind of warning that you shouldn't do this unless you have a long-term plan. But utilizing this can net you an additional handful of skill points a year. That is equivalent to a lot of skill injectors at this level. So at 210 million skill points, additional 3 million skill additional 3 million skill points is literally like 15 injectors. That's a big deal over the course of a year. And that's why I wanted to talk about this a little bit. But basically, you go to your character tab here, and you hit attributes, and you have these, and they don't really mean anything without this context. So you get, as a new player, you have a neural remap. If you've never used one, you have a free one. You get a free neural remap, or as a new player, you get 2 bonus neural remaps. So your first year, you can have 3. And then every year, you get another neural remap. So after I use this remap, in a year, I'll get another one. But if I use one between now and the next year, I won't get another one. And we'll use my bonus remap. So I've never even used the bonus remaps on this character. And then we can go to HateLesS, which is the other character that we were mentioning. Check out his skills and his stuff. He still has this, and he still has his neural remaps. I've never remapped this character at all. And he has base 2020-2020, which 2020-2019 is the base. Whereas if you remap, you get 17, 17, 17, and then the 2 that you put into. But this is base with +4 learning implants in the clone. You can get up to 25 by doing +5 learning implants, and we'll go ahead and look at those really quick right now. So you can increase these stats for the skills that you're currently training by getting a couple of implants. You go implants and boosters. Implants. Look at implants here. They're attribute enhancers. The high grade stuff does it as well. High grade is +4 always. Mid grade is +3, and low grade is +2, if I remember correctly. Low grade gives, +2 to the relevant stat. And then if you scroll all the way down past all these special implants, these faction implants, we have these basic oculars. So there's the basic, the limited, the improved, and the standard. So there's the limited, there's the beta one. But what I'm really interested in these two, the standard gives +4, and they're actually fairly cheap, and they'll make your skills train a little bit faster. And then the improved gives +5. So if you want to train the absolute fastest, you would spend as much time as you can during your time you would always go into this clone after the session. You go retreat back into your learning clone after you did whatever. You keep one of these in the keep star that you lived in, and after your play session, you'd pop into one of these. You'd end up with additional skill points. But this will give you +5. Now, you guys are probably wondering why I've told you these two seemingly separate things. Some of those smarter people will have already put this together, but these attributes affect how fast you're training the skills. Remember how I said in the beginning, we have attributes, and how this works is the primary attribute. For every point that you have in the primary attribute, you get 1 skill point per minute. And then every point that you have in the secondary attribute, you get 0.5 skill points per minute. So what that means is that if we go to my character here, and I look at my attributes, for the skill that I'm currently training, intelligence is the primary. So we get 27 skill points per minute. So we can go into our calculator, go utilities, calculator, and we can add 27. And then we, our secondary attribute is memory. So we have, yeah, it's memory. So our secondary attribute is memory. We have 21 points into memory, and we divide that in half because the secondary is half. So 0.5 per, you divide by 2. 21 divided by 2 is 10.5. So we go plus 10.5 equals 37.5. Lo and behold, we go in the skills, and we look at the skill that we're currently training. And we go into shields. We look at this. We're making 37.5 skill points per hour. And that's how that's calculated. That's how your skill training is calculated. If you're an alpha, the algorithm is the same. The math is done exactly the same. It doesn't change. Except as an alpha, you divide by 2. So alphas train at half the speed. Some people say that omegas train at double, but this is the way that it worked before alpha and omega came out, before they did that split where alpha and omega existed. It was 1 skill point per attribute per minute is how it worked back in the before time. And what they did is they made alpha accounts train at half speed, and they advertise it as doubling your training speed. But in reality, it's alphas train half as fast as omegas do. And that's another factor. We doubled it by being omega, and of course a year equals 25 million skill points on the character. And then if we want to verify, we can check it against another thing too. So we put in the Mimitar Industrial and Spaceship Command. And then we see that our attribute is 25.5. We can verify that, and we can show info on the skill. And we can see that the primary attribute is perception, and the secondary is willpower. We go back to my character, and then our perception is 17. So we go utilities, calculator, and we go all clear. We go 17, because they're both 17. Perception and willpower are both 17 on my character, right? So we go 17 divided by 2, and then we get 8.5, and then we're going to add another 17, because we kind of did a little backwards here. And it equals 25.5. That is how your skill points train in EVE Online. And like I said, you can increase these attributes by using your neural remap. If you hit this remap button, you can play with this all you want. But how it works is when you hit save changes, it actually uses the neural remap. And you want to be very sure about what you're doing and have your plan made. There are tools like EveMon that can be used to make long-term plans and to optimize this for how many of your neural remaps you want to use. So if you know what ships you want to fly in the next 6 months and want to get there as quickly as physically possible, you can use skill calculators like EveMon. I'm not sure how well they still work. You can use skill calculators to figure out exactly when you should do the neural map between what skills you should do it and what order you should make your skills to make to get to that the fastest. But honestly, nowadays I really do think that with skill injectors being available as a new player for your first year or so, you probably shouldn't be playing with this until you understand what it is. And that's why I wanted to make this video, is so that you can understand it and so that you can utilize this in the future and have the knowledge. But basically, if we take points away, we have base of 17 across the board. The standard map is the same amount of points in every single one, which is not 20, it's And then in charisma we have 19. So this is the standard map. And what you do is you always, for trying to train your skills as fast as possible, and you're trying to maximize what you get in a year. You have your year plan skills. They're all the same attributes. You max out the primary one that you do. So for me, right now we're doing intelligence. I believe, yeah, we're on intelligence. And memory is what we're on. So I'm training all the intelligence and memory skills before I remap again. That's what my character plan is. So I'm not going to save changes. I don't want to burn my neural remap. But you always max out the primary one, and then the secondary one gets the rest of the scope, or the rest of the attribute points to get the maximum training, because we just calculated out the algorithm. You get the most skill points from the primary attribute, so you want to invest as much as you want in there, or as much as you can in there. And like I said, like I showed at the beginning, the difference of this is 3 million skill points over the course of a year. But that's 3 out of 22 million. This isn't going to change your world. This is a long-term optimization, and I want you guys to understand that. You can get more out of it if you want to do this, but this can shoot you in the foot. Say you need to train, so say I did this neural remap, and I was training into, say, capital ships, or I had a sudden need. My corporation needs more fax pilots, and I don't have money for skill injectors, so I have to train this, right? I actually did this recently. But I believe navigation is intelligence and perception. And we're in intelligence memory right now. So when I trained jump fuel conservation, just recently, I think it was a skill that I trained before this. If I look at my history, we did jump fuel conservation to 5. And I wasn't optimized for that, so I didn't train as fast while I trained them. And I needed that skill because I started using a jump freighter. So I said, screw it, train it now, and the lack of skill points, it kind of shoots you in the foot, and it can get even worse. So you can end up training, in some situations, if you spec for industry and training industry skills, and you have to train up a gun skill, that cross really sucks. Because instead of getting 37.5 skill points per hour, or 20, what was it, 25.5 is what we did calculate the base was. We're doing 20, 10, yeah, you get 30 skill points per hour without doing this. Is that what it is? No, it's not. Yeah, because if you have a base of 20, across the board, that's 10 plus 20 is 30. So we're only getting 7.5 skill points per minute. But if you, for example, go the other way, and you only have 17, you're training super slow. So you're going from 37 to 25. You're at the other end of the spectrum, training really slow, but it's not horrible, if that makes sense. Anyways, I just want to leave you with this information about neural remapping. Make sure you guys fly fun, enjoy your time in EVE Online, and we'll be seeing you guys in the next one. Oh, yeah, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and tell me about your horror stories in the comments below about how you wasted your neural remaps in the past, or how you have learn this in the future and have made brilliant characters in shorter order of time. Tell me your stories with neural mapping in the comments. And I'll have links to my year in EVE videos. I know I didn't show them the whole thing, but I'll have all 4 of the ones that I previewed there for you in this description, as well as the normal description stuff. But make sure you fly fun, enjoy your time in EVE Online, and we'll be seeing you guys in the next one.